Julia Gillard, thank you so much for speaking to the ABC. First of all, I wanted to ask about your interactions with the Queen. Do you have any memories you can share?
I do have quite a few memories actually. I welcomed the Queen to Australia when she came for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which we held in Perth. And of course she took that opportunity to travel extensively around the country. And what wasn't said at the time, but sort of everybody knew, was that it was going to be her last visit to Australia. And I do remember, in terms of her stoicism, we were there backstage at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting opening. And what was happening at the opening towards the end of it was that each leader of the 54 countries was going to come out on stage, be announced, be applauded, and then I would come out second last and she would come out last. So we're in this big queue waiting to go on stage, moving very slowly. So I said to her, "Can I get someone to get you a chair?" And she was like, "No, I'm fine to stand." And I'm like, that's really a pity, because if someone had got you a chair, then someone might have brought me a chair and I wouldn't have minded it. So yes, someone with a great dedication to duty.
It is a strange time to be in London at the moment. We've got this, I guess it is a slightly weird ritual of many people going past the coffin at the moment. You were born in Wales, so in the United Kingdom. Have you been surprised at all, or what do you make of the outpouring of grief that we're seeing?
At the centre of this, of course, is just the human story of loss and grief. A family has lost a beloved member, and because the family is so on the public stage, we're sharing in that moment. She was this sort of continuity, you know, whatever else was happening, you would see images of the Queen, and I think for many there was kind of just a comfort in that. It was like there was this sort of quiet zone in this chaotic, fractured world, and I think the loss of that is also causing this wave of public emotion. What we've got to remember, of course, though, is everybody's different, everybody's experience is different. Where you stand in relation to the monarchy, the crown, the symbol of it, depends on personal life experience. So many around the world are seeing this quite differently.
I wanted to ask about what you just touched on. You're a Republican. In 2010, you said the death of Her Majesty would be an appropriate time for Australia to move away from having a British head of state. Do you still hold that view?
Yes, I always thought that when the Queen did leave us, that it would cause a period of reflection. I thought that here in the UK, and there are many issues about national identity that the UK is grappling with, the future of Scotland, the future of Northern Ireland, what it means to be the nation in the world without the contact with the European Union that they had, the post-Brexit world in which they now live. And I always thought in Australia too it would unleash a new set of reflections about our own constitutional arrangements. But there's no rush, and I certainly endorse what the Prime Minister has said. There's time for measured discussion. It's certainly too soon for that now. The things that people want to do to honour the Queen, the Prime Minister, our Prime Minister being at the funeral on Monday, all of those things need to be worked through. And then I think we can have a measured, steady discussion, which will ultimately take us, I think, in the direction of a republic, but it won't be quick.
Yeah, a couple of years, do you think, to build that support, to build the idea of exactly what type of republic you think Australians might like?
Well, I've noticed that Albo, the Prime Minister, I can't get over calling him Albo, I've done it for too many years, has said that it's something that he wouldn't contemplate until a future parliamentary term. And I think that's right. I think it's the kind of idea that you would take to the people. And there is a lot of discussion to centre on a model.
You've got some shows coming up in Australia and the United Kingdom. It's a decade on, which seems hard to believe, since your famous misogyny speech. Do you think that the treatment of women in politics in Australia has improved in the past decade? And what did you make of the recent election result, which saw quite a lot of women elected?
I think some things have got better in the last decade, not everything, but some things. And of the things that have got better, we are much more likely to talk about gender, sexism, misogyny in politics now. I mean, the sort of fashionable analysis when I was there as Prime Minister was that nothing about what was happening to me was explained by gender. You know, I was just getting treated the way every other Prime Minister had been treated. And now I think sort of scales have fallen from people's eyes and people see the role that gender plays.
Do you think it would be easier than it was for you for a woman to become Prime Minister of Australia now?
I do. I think what would be different is if some of the more gendered moments happened to that woman Prime Minister, people would immediately call it for what it is. I was very struck, for example, when Kamala Harris was first announced as the vice presidential candidate and Donald Trump did the kind of sexism 101 call, oh, she's a nasty woman, nobody likes her. And immediately people flooded the airwaves and sent social media and said, you know, this is just sexism, this is leveraging off people's stereotypes that women with power are not nice women, and we've got to dismiss this from our politics. I think that is the kind of thing that would happen if there was a woman Prime Minister in Australia today. There would be activism around making sure her treatment was fair.
Julia Gillard, thank you so much for speaking to the ABC.
Thank you.